Times are tough. It is up there. Sometimes because you use YouTube, sometimes you're subject to their service ideas. Is that it? Or is it 2020? 2020. That's weird. That's weird.
Okay. We have our PowerPoint presentation tonight on the fiscal year 2020 budget. So the first slide, talk about some of the things that we're going to go over tonight. Fund structure, the budget process, budget goals, new items that are going to appear in the budget document, and just an overview of the proposed budget. Fund structure. For you is an outline of the village's funds. We budget each fund individually. And we have the general fund, which is our governmental operations, which fund our parks, our police, our streets, cemeteries, administration. We have some small revenue funds, such as motor fuel tax, Veterans Memorial Fund, and we have the Capital Projects Fund, which accounts for major projects. For example, the Park Street project that is still almost finished, which is going to be shown in this budget. Also, a permanent fund, which is our Cemetery Perpetual Care Fund, which accumulates lot sale fees. Then we have two enterprise funds, which is our Water and Sewer Fund and our Electric Fund, and finally a Police Pension Trust Fund. So most of our focus is on our three major funds, and that's the General Fund, the Electric Fund, and the Water and Sewer Fund. And now an overview of the budget process. We started planning this back in February. We start with revenue and preliminary payroll estimates, and then we based our operating expenditures on the fiscal year 2019 budget. Between March 1st and March 15th, preliminary results were reviewed and budget materials were assembled. And from March 18th to the end of May, the village management team conducted several meetings to discuss the budget. And here we are now. We do have a draft preliminary budget document prepared, and we're going to have a recommended budget for the village board to pass at their next meeting on June 25th. There will be a public hearing prior to this meeting on the 25th, and there will be an announcement of that public hearing in very next week. As in past years, we've put together budget goals. These are the goals that have carried forward for the past 2 to 3 years in our budget, and we looked at customer service, performance, economic development, and quality of life. As I said, we are putting together a large budget document. It's just in the draft stage at this point, but it will be available within the next couple of months. Some of the new items in the budget document is an estimated changes in fund balance and net position. Just shows an overall view of the operations of the village. Has a summary schedule of the positions that are budgeted in the village, description of our debt service, of we're responsible for the upcoming years. And then there's some budget summaries that shows all the funds in sort of a graph presentation. And then we also added at the very end is a glossary of common terms that are used throughout the document. So right now, this pie chart before you is what makes up the whole budget. It's the total amount is $26,653,059. And that shows each fund, and you can see that our three main funds are the general fund, the electric fund, and the water and sewer fund. And that makes up 93% of our spending. And what you'll notice about the appropriation is different than our estimated revenues, is we're appropriating for things that are carrying forward from prior years. So our estimated expenditures are usually always going to be lower than what our appropriation is. We've got projects that are carrying forward, we've got obligations that are carrying forward. So we're always going to usually pass a budget where your appropriation is going to exceed your estimated revenues. And this graph is trying to demonstrate that. The first two columns is the 2018 fiscal year actual numbers. You can see our revenues were more than our actual expenditures. The next column is the 2019 budgeted revenues and appropriation. You can see that the expenditure column is higher. That's just showing that we were planning for capital projects that could happen, or accrued time payouts that could happen, and some expenditures that were going to be issued with possible debt issuance. And then you can see the third set of two columns is the estimated actual 2019, where we think we're going to end up, and that our revenues in those two columns are more than our expenditures. And then the last two sets of columns is the fiscal year 2020 projection, which is also showing our revenues and operating expenditures about even, and then what's making the expenditure column a little higher is just those carry forward items, those things that we were planning to pay out with the funds on hand, if those happen. So now we're going to move into the three major funds. General fund is first. We're estimating revenue of $5,209,576. And the main revenue sources of the general fund are property taxes, sales taxes, and income taxes. And they represent 66% of what funds your police, your administration, your cemetery, your parks, and your street operations. The next slide shows our general fund expenditure by department and by category. And you can see that the largest expense in our general fund is personnel. And it is approximately 76% of expenditures that we spend out of that fund. As we were talking about before, the items that could possibly be paid out from reserves are we're going to be doing a transfer of the general fund for the 2017 general obligation bond into the capital projects fund. And this is to pay for the remaining amount due on a street infrastructure project, which is the Park Street. We do have an estimated liability related to accrued benefits that have accrued before fiscal year 2020 that we could be responsible for paying out, and that amounts to $338,000. There's also some carry forward of the park development and pickleball court conversion. $30,000 is for park development, and the pickleball conversion is $49,740. Part of that is from donations from community groups that we received in fiscal year 2019, and the other part was the amount that the village had committed to paying for the project. We're also carrying forward the purchase of a police vehicle that was in the fiscal year 2019 budget that was going to be paid for funding accounts. And then the police department has several restricted accounts that are very specific on what type of expenditures they can spend out of those, and they have about $22,500 that they plan to spend out of those other accounts.
I have a question on that, Sherry. So the price of that police vehicle, is that the price of the vehicle itself, or is that the total price, lights, whatever else goes to that in that car?
That was the price of the whole vehicle.
Okay.
General fund cash balances. The village goes by the GFOA best practices, and which is to recommend that we have an unrestricted fund balance, which is a minimum of 2 to 3 months of budgetary operating expenditures. The village carries that a little further, and we extend that to our cash balances. So our goal is to have between 2 and 3 months on hand. Other communities have bigger objectives, and they might even want 6 months on hand, but since 2 to 3 is a more manageable number to attain, we've considered that a target at this point. And that target would put us between $950,000 to about $1.4 million. And we're at the end of April 30th, 2018, we're actually over that, so that's good, but
we also
it took us a while to obtain that.
yeah, I mean, you can see we've been fiscally responsible on the amount of growth that we've had from 2015 up to 2019. We now meet our 3-month at least safety valve. So now we can start planning for, like say for instance, the Walnut Street project. On that project, it's a SATS project. They would give us an 80-20 match on that. So as long as we could come up with 20% of what that project was, our engineers estimated it'd be $1.5 million to be able to widen that out to 3 lanes, curb, gutters, sidewalks, everything, and match the regular transition through there. We have enough funds on hand to be able to do that when that project comes around now. So.
General fund budget highlights. These are just a few things that are noted in the budget document. Completion of the village's comprehensive plan and performance audit should be completed this fiscal year. The village plans to continue with annexations. We're going to try and update some of our service manuals, as well as develop other service manuals that staff timing allows, and implement new software application, also as staffing permits. In the Parks and Recreation Department, there is the purchase of 2 Super Z 72-inch mowers, and that's the combined cost for both of those is $22,500. We already talked about the park development and the pickleball court conversion, and there's also about $24,000 to pay recreation program.
So Sherry, are those the smaller mowers then? Because I remember the bigger one mower, we paid $30,000, $40,000 for just it.
These are still big mowers. They cut a 72-inch wide path, but they're not as big as that one that we call the Batwing.
Okay.
In the street department, there is the hiring of an additional street maintainer in the departments to focus on patching of streets and repairing of sidewalks. Police department, we mentioned this before, there's the carry forward of the reserved cash purchases and the purchase of the police vehicle. There's also a second vehicle to be purchased out of the general fund. 2020 budget to retire older vehicles in the fleet, and they also have a couple vehicles in the budgeted in the police and public works utility tax fund, both purchased on capital leases. One is carrying forward from the fiscal year 19 budget that didn't happen, and then there is one that should timing should allow once existing obligations are paid off to free up money for another lease. Then the last one is the evaluate the need to fill existing
Is there any questions on the general fund before we move on to the next ones? No. Electric fund.
Electric fund. The electric fund estimated revenues is $11,060,307. Most of that comes from the electric rate charges, 93%. There is some interfund projected revenue, the interfund loan between the water and sewer fund. The water and sewer fund is on the second, will be on the second year of their payback schedule to the electric fund, so $9,707 is included in their estimated revenues for the year.
I did have a question on the revenues. So, and I know we don't have crystal balls, but do we know or have we heard of any potential rate increases from IMEA to come down the pike, or have we not heard of any?
We've not.
Okay, good.
They try to give us a notice, but they can't give us a notice longer than a year out.
Yeah.
So,
Typically it's January, February, we get guidance from it.
but there was nothing there this year.
Electric fund expenditures, total appropriations of $11,261,318. The majority of that, 64%, electric purchasers, followed by personnel cost at 15% and capital expenditures at 9%. And as we've talked about the other funds, they have a couple items that would be paid on with cash on hand if they would so occur. One is $192,000 in accrued benefits an obligation, and there's also $9,810 of development fees assessed that came from developers in prior years that is going to be used as a matching for a village grant for street warning signs. But this is the graph with the cash balances and restricted cash. Like the general fund, the electric fund has met its target.
And the thing that we have to look at this fund is just like the other fund where we have a long-range project. The long-range project that we should aim for the electric fund is add another transformer at the independent substation. It was originally designed to be able to handle 2 transformers there. We have 1 in place, but if the commercial areas that are for sale now along Route 4 develop, we're gonna need that extra capacity. So that was in the, $4 million range, I think, the last transformer that we put in, so.
Is there any substation work or any updating of those that we?
That's what we would do if we bought that next transformer and put it in that electric sub. There would probably most likely be some updates that went along with it. Kind of like when we did the updates at the Main Street substation a few years back.
Highlights of the budget. Electric rates are projected to remain the same. There was a hiring of a lineman to replace an open position in the department, as well as create a first-year apprentice position to plan for future department retirements. There's a capital lease purchase of a new line truck. The purchase price is estimated at $240,000. It would be a capital lease purchase, which would have a net effect on the budget of around $50,000 or so. There's also a purchase of a new vehicle for the department, the amount of $38,000, and that is actually carried forward from the fiscal year 2019 budget. And they also wanted to purchase a small utility truck for $14,000 to replace the aging department vehicle. And lastly, there's the purchase of 3 warning sirens, part to be paid with by a $50,000 grant from PCO, in part paid from electric development fee assessments. And the village began working on that grant funding during fiscal year 2018.
Do you know where those are going?
We have a map that shows They're coverage maps based off the size of the siren. So what we will have to do is essentially take a lot of our old sirens out, and then we have an exact location where we need to put the new ones so that they cover each other all the way across. And then we'll take the smaller, older ones and move them south or to the south end of town where they have smaller pockets that they have to try to be able to cover. But we have really good coverage when we get all done with moving those around.
So is the Broadus Road, is that all fixed and are we still,
Matt, there is a problem with the one at Broadus Road. It works one time, it won't work the next time. It's the newest one that we have. I don't know if it's a problem with the signal. If they sometimes when they send the signal twice, it'll go off. I don't know if it's a communication thing, if it's a line of sight or what it is, but we will, I think, address that when we go and do a revamp of the whole system and stuff, of at least being able to get some kind of a relay to it to make sure that it goes off in time. Now, remember on that one that's out on Broadus Road, that is not inside the village limits, but the closest area to it is the new Cardinal Ridge apartments and stuff. So it is an important one to us, but it is not inside the village limits at this time. And I think the township paid for that years back.
Okay, moving on to water and sewer revenue. And with the electric fund, water and sewer revenue, most of our 96% of the revenue in water and sewer revenue is from user charges. And that does include the rate increase that the village board passed a couple months ago to pass along the supplier's rate increase of 14 cents per 1,000 gallons. And that was figured as of effective date of July 1st. So our customers won't see that on their bills until August. They're billed due August 15th. Water and sewer expenditures, again, the two largest components of those, representing 63% of the cost of the water and sewer fund is the purchase of the water and the sewer services. Personnel makes up the next highest expenditure type at 15%. And services and charges and capital expenditures are the next couple categories. Also included in here is the $89,707 that we talked about going in as a revenue in the electric fund. Well, you're seeing it there being expended out of the water and sewer fund. Cash on hand, water and sewer fund cash, unrestricted cash balance is right in the right range between the 2 and 3 month balance that we strive to achieve. And the budget, as we talked about before in the other two funds, there are some items that could happen that we look to those as being paid out of cash on hand, and that would be accrued time paid to employee for estimated accrued time payouts at $101,000, and then the interfund loan payment, which since it relates to a 2015 obligation, we look as something like that is not a normal expenditure of operations, and that's $89,707. And there was also at the to be paid out of construction costs for fiscal year 2019. We had planned to purchase a booster pump in the amount of $75,508. And since it was not expended out of our construction budget in fiscal year 2019, but it was still a necessary expense, that's being carried forward.
That pump specifications had to go through EPA for approval, and it took longer than expected. We've got that approval now, so we'll be in the process once this budget is passed.
where's that pump going to go, out here at the plant or out here at the ground tank?
It will go out at the ground storage tank in the pump house out there. It will match, it will be a twin of the one that's there. Then they'll work combined instead of one of them all the time.
The budget highlights in the water and sewer fund. We're passing along the rate increase from our water supplier at 14 cents per 1,000 gallon. second year of payments of the 4-year repayment schedule to the electric fund, and a capital lease purchase of a mini excavator in the amount of $44,335, and also the purchase of an equipment carrier in the amount of $10,800.
That mini excavator will help us a ton. When we go to put a tap in, you're not digging up somebody's whole front yard, tearing up the street, having dirt all over the place. With something like this, it'd be easy to dig down, board across the street. And, you know, we had an example the other night of how we put in a new meter pit, and when they use the vac truck for it, there's no digging for it at all either. And you just turn around and suck the stuff out in a hole and then put the thing right down in the hole, connect it all up, and you haven't even disturbed the grass around it. So it'll make us more efficient, and it'll cost less to be able to go back and fix people's yards up.
So if we have the Vector truck, we do still need a mini excavator in addition to that?
We do.
Could you help me understand I'm not questioning you, I just don't understand why I thought that was the point of the Vector truck, but I'm no expert at all.
The Vector truck that we usually use it to locate the utilities that are around, and we can turn around and jet water down and then suck that out. But when you're actually trying to dig down to be able to have a boring machine bore underneath, they need to have more dirt moved out. You could probably do it the same thing as you do it with a backhoe. It's more efficient.
When the backhoe is gonna tear up more sidewalks and gutters.
Well, it's a lot cheaper than backhoe too, I would assume.
And we'd be able to use that backhoe, we'll have 2 backhoes that we can use towards doing street repairs.
Other budget highlights, we have the capital project fund, the completion of our street project, yard waste and recycling and refuse program. What is in the budget for that is the preliminary increase for the monthly green program fee from $2 to $4 a month. What that would pay for would be the cost of contracting out the leaf bag pickup program, the branch pickup program, and preliminary numbers show that for the fiscal year set to be about $171,000. And when I'm talking fiscal year, I'm talking May 1st to April 30th. So you're not going to see a full year of the contract expense in fiscal year 2000 of the year contract expense in 2020. The budget also includes the use of village labor for we estimate for 2.5 months before you award your contracts, plus expensive street department staff for 6 months to do the street cleaning operation that is included as part of the green program revisions. And to go along with that, there's a capital lease purchase of a street sweeper, which would have the net budget effect on fiscal year 2020, $30,600. And then lastly, we have the motor fuel tax program. The amount that was for the 2020 program is $346,061. Moving on to the end, we're working on budget documents, just in the draft stage right now, but this is just sort of a guideline, what you're going to find in there when we do get it completed. There's a budget summary which highlights the village budget in a narrative form to begin with. There's an introduction section that has background information on the village, the budget process, the fund structure, and our financial policies. And then there's an exhibit section. It includes information on fees, property taxes, revenues, expenditure trends, and long-term financial planning. And then finally, the budget information in a more detailed form than what I presented tonight that we just went over is found in the middle. And then at the very end, there's the capital improvement plan, which is a 5-year plan of things that we see coming to the village in the future. And
Any questions?
And in 2 weeks, they will pass a draft budget, right?
They will pass the appropriation.
Operations.
Appropriation ordinance.
There's a hearing at that, you published at 5:45, is that what you, did you publish the hearing at 5:45 or?
No, 6 o'clock issue.
So then the meeting will start right after that?
Yeah. Any questions?
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
You always put in a tremendous amount of work to get through this, and I know your love for making presentations, so we certainly appreciate everything that goes into doing that.
Okay, Utility Oversight Committee discussion. So we had a utility meeting last night. We had an individual come before us, and she filled out the form that we have, the leak adjustment form. We tried to dig down to the bottom of it, couldn't get to the bottom of it. We had some takeaways. So Pat had some takeaways and the individual had some takeaways. So we're going to try to schedule another utility meeting in 2 weeks to kind of get those questions answered. But I can give you the gist of what happened. She was gone for a 2-week period.
2 months.
Or 2-month period. And she had 21,000 gallons. Her normal usage was not even close to that. It was around 1,400.
Yeah.
But we kind of figured out that she has a water backup for her sump pump. But she didn't seem to think that was it. The village employees have been out 3 different times. They found no leaks. The sump moved when the plumber wiggled it. So as we all know, when sumps go out, sometimes they can kick back in if the switch gets stuck. So it appears that it was maybe her water backup. Those use a ton of gallons of water to eject the groundwater. But she had a plumber come in and she said the sump is fine. He found no leaks either. She now has the meter. She now has the meter that reads hourly, and her consumption is back to the normal levels where it was before. She's asked for a leak adjustment. Once we hear it and we get her information, Pat's information thrown in there, we'll come back to this committee and make a recommendation, which you guys can take or not, whether to grant a leak adjustment. During the meeting, we found out there was another citizen that could possibly have a leak issue as well. And Pat is aware of that, and we told.
And our office has mailed those forms to that address.
Okay. So that person's been mailed the forms, so hopefully they see we have that meeting and they can show up to present that as well. So at the next meeting, we may have a couple of leak adjustment things we need to address. We asked about the chloramines. Everything is in place for the chloramines. The company that has to train the guys out there to do it have not been out there to train them. So it's still soon. And that's what we have so far, and that was pretty much the gist. Anything to add?
No, that was it.
Okay, I have a question or a couple issues. So on the leak adjustment situation, it doesn't sound like to me that there was really a leak in quotation marks. So my only concern or comment on that is where do we draw the line and where does that slope start to happen? Where it was my sub pump, but it ran up 22,000 gallons, or, because that was what I believed that leak adjustment to be for was,
Running
unfortunate running toilet or a leaky faucet, not these potentially other sloping issues that.
So we'll make
Actually, the line
Yeah.
is drawn here.
Yeah.
That's why we've changed the policy the
Yeah.
way that we do it.
Well, and
It's
you-
brought back to the public board with elected officials to make a final decision.
And so then what we'll do is we'll hear her out for the rest of it, because a lot of it, the dates didn't add up, match up a lot of things. So once we get all the information, then we'll come back to you guys, and then we'll have that discussion, and then yes, that's a very valid point.
When you can't get insurance for a leak, but you can get insurance for a sump pump failure.
Correct. So that's where we're at with that, and that's all I have on Utility Oversight Committee discussion. And then we also asked, as the committee, we asked for the debt servicing for the future years. We've asked for that for a little bit, and we asked for that again just to see, because we know the debt is going to be increasing, just to kind of plan ahead.
South Sangamon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Schedule's in the back of their financial statements. It's a required note disclosure, so it's right there.
Right.
So you can grab it quickly. I can show you right where it is.
Okay, good enough. ADA Transition Plan Committee update?
We did not meet since we did not have members.
of
So
formed
now we
tonight.
have that resolved, so I plan on meeting on Tuesday,
All right.
6 o'clock, right?
6 o'clock, right here, yep.
Public Property and Recreation Committee discussion?
That committee meets every other month. Did not have a meeting since our last meeting. We did, though, however, have a park comprehensive plan on June 5th, Wednesday, at the library. Thanks to those of you that were able to attend and provide your input. Appreciate any other input from those that were unable to attend. If you reach out to me, I can make sure that you can get the concept drawings, if you will, from the engineer or architect. They're just ideas. They're just to try to get your brain moving and figure out what you want or what types of things might be possible with our public lands. I've shared those on my Facebook page, but I don't know if we could potentially share the drawings on the village website or any other means. But regardless, please reach out to me if you'd like to see them or have any discussion about them.
Thank you. Public comments on village business. So I've got Darlene and Bonnie. Okay, not now. Anyone else? All right. Schedule of meetings, Committee of the Whole, 6:15, July 9th. Do we have any reason to go into closed session? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Trustee Churchill, second.
I'll second.
Trustee Mann, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And if any of the trustees want a copy of the utility stuff that the lady in
I'll wait for your presentation.